Welcome back to an emotional Money Hill, ladies and gentlemen. There's really only one thing to talk about. It's a rare that we do an emergency Money Hill episode. But unfortunately today, the GOAT retires from Call of Duty. Scump is done. He steps down. Dashy takes his place on the team. So now the roster is ROKKR, Shotzzy, iLLeY, and Dashy. But I think this is more or less about the guy that retired than it is really about what is going on with OpTic Texas directly. I'm like a little emotional. I actually don't know how to react.
It looks like you've been crying. It looks like your voice is cracking a little bit. There's a lot of emotion.
My voice cracks a lot. We'll start there. I look like I've been crying because I rode home on a scooter outside of Chicago, and that happens pretty much every episode. You can go back and check. But I mean, to say that I'm not emotional about this is an understatement. Like it just would be. I think. Yep. I don't know. I'll read this tweet first, and then we can kind of get into the discussion here a little bit. But Brian's stats: what a career, Scump! 95 events, 30 wins, 41 finals appearances, 2017 world champion, 2 times X Game gold medalist, 1 KD in 47 straight tournaments. I think that's 1 plus KD, not just 1. 10 CODs with major wins, World Series of Warzone champ, which honestly that was epic. Yeah. Last tourney win, April 3rd, 2011, or first tourney win April 3rd, 2011, last tourney win March 6th, 2022. To win across 11 years is fucking ridiculous, first of all.
Crazy.
But I think, like, I don't know. For me, there's 2 things that stand out here. There's a lot of the tweets in reply to what is an extremely emotional video from him and what is really sad to watch, but also kind of an acknowledgement of, you know, the game's getting faster. I don't think I can keep up at this point, and I don't really have the drive to or the desire to. And he was putting up numbers, to be fair. Yeah. Like, he was doing well this season. Yeah. I just think it took a lot out of him to be able to put up those numbers. He realized that it's kind of time to step down. But I'll start here. I think if not only COD, he is what MJ was to basketball for Call of Duty. Like, this is, to just put it simply.
Yep.
And I think almost all esports, because everybody knows Scump. Everyone's played Call of Duty. There's a very low barrier to entry there. It's not like League of Legends and Faker where like everybody knows his name, but not everybody plays League. I think that just makes it more accessible, and like, I don't know, his personality it radiates to the scene entirely.
Humble.
Yeah.
Humble. You saw even in his tweet where the video, you know, he's incredibly humble. He's someone that is very easy to root for. He's a champion, right? And he behaves like a champion, and the people around him respect and revere him like the champion that he is. It is an emotional day. I mean, I'm going to obviously kind of keep giving you the floor here. This is your team. This is your childhood. This is your guy, straight up. But like,
it is my childhood.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I mean, like the reality is, like, you know, like you said, we don't do an emergency podcast for many people. I don't really see us doing one for anyone else. Huge news, and you know, it answers some of the questions that we had around Dashy. That's for sure. I mean, what he said to Dashy directly in that video, like, Jesus, you know,
if something's gonna make you play well, it's that.
And I think to your other point, like, he knew that he just didn't have. I think when they got rid of Dashy for him, he was like, you know, I think the reality is, like, he actually had to look at himself, and in all the respect in the world to him, he said, you know what? He's right. Like, I'm not as committed. I don't have the drive, the day in, day out relentless pursuit to make this my career anymore. And he wants to have fun. He's still, like, you know, top 12 in the world at the moment, but he just wants to make content. I get it.
Like, I kind of grew up watching this guy, and even when I was not really watching competitive Call of Duty for a couple of years, like in college, and, you know, I made my way back to it eventually. Like, right, you're going to end up following your passions anyway, but I remember talking about what the fuck Scump was doing in middle school with my friends, and then into high school, and when I started playing GBs with the guys I started playing GBs with, and that's kind of the effect that, like, it's a generational effect that he's had on Call of Duty, on the game, on everything. And, like, if you look at the replies to his tweet, he's why so many modern pro players started playing Call of Duty, and for him to retire now, it's like, it's just insane because these guys are already in the league. He's been around so long.
Yep.
He is and has always been the face of the scene. And I think that goes without saying. part of me wants to say as well, if we were playing better Call of Duty games, he would still be playing. I actually wholeheartedly believe that. Right, yep. Obviously.
I mean, like, we don't need to keep reading other people's tweets. You all have internet. But just, I was looking at Octane, giving massive amounts of props. Right here, greatest Call of Duty player ever. Done more to help impact and grow the game of competitive Call of Duty than any other player in the game. Like, that for someone who he's not on his team, but been able to just be a fan and like kind of recognizing real, like the amount of respect and adulation for Scump across the board I don't know if you're ever going to see another player retire and get that much love.
I mean, it's insane to see, like, even when you consider crossing over Call of Duty, like through all FPS games, he's still one of the biggest. And for that to be a controller player, it's like nuts because you have your Counter-Strike, you have your Valorant, like everything else, and like everybody still cares about this. Like this, I mean, this was #1 trending on all of Twitter. Yeah. Like that doesn't just fucking happen for anyone. No. I think goes without saying.
Scump kind of resonates across all games. Like I think he goes beyond Call of Duty, and you don't see many players having that kind of impact.
The question is like, what's next for OpTic Texas? That's kind of how we want to wrap this up. Yep. Dashy's back in the lineup. So again, I said at the beginning, but Dashy, iLLeY, Hook, and Shotzzy, I actually really do like this team, like across the board in terms of talent. I don't think much changes, to be honest.
So walk me through that though. And you and I talked about it from the Hook perspective and the Pred perspective, and now we have to bring back in the Dashy perspective. Like, what's his perspective? This is a team that he was ousted by 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago.
I think a lot of this.
Now he's back.
I think a lot of this was beef with Rambo, right? And I think, honestly, them hashing it out publicly has been good for both of them because from what Shotzzy said, there's been a perspective change in terms of coaching. He said he's going to be the one asking questions now rather than just saying things like at the team. Yep. And I think, honestly, like, Dashy wasn't entirely wrong. Like, it was always going to be framed that way because it's really hard to, like, leave a team and have everyone turn around and record a podcast and talk. But, I mean, end of the day, like, Shotzzy goes on stream and he's like, Brandon wasn't wrong in what he said. Like, it's not incorrect. Sometimes a coach and a player don't gel. And to see Ray changing his coaching style, coming out with a good result against Breach, and now you add Dashy back into the equation, they're adults. They'll be able to figure this out.
I agree.
If you really think about it. And Dashy is correct.
Well, not only are they adults, they're professionals. And there is a very big difference there. And if you're going to be a professional, you have to be able to perform and act like a professional in a working environment. They don't have to be best friends, but they got to be able to work together and they got to be able to win together. And so, I mean, I'm bullish on it. I think, I don't want to steal your line, but does OpTic win it all now?
I mean, they have to. They win out, honestly. This is their year. Obviously, it's a really, really difficult game to like even go back to back in, considering how volatile it is. But I mean, it would be so insane to watch this team win a chip after Scump retires.
Do you think?
And I think everyone's still going to be an OpTic fan, and I think Shotzzy is going to be the guy that sticks around through thick and thin. I think he's the new face of the team, and I'm interested to see who the new face of COD is. Eventually, we'll get there, but somebody's going to have to come out with a personality, be the guy.
I mean,
so,
if LA,
I feel like I just kind of want to say goodbye and wallow a little bit for the rest of the night. This kind of just ruined my work day. But
I don't
know, man.
I love the emotion. God bless you.
Tough to see. Like,
I look.
There's a reason I played GBs. Like the reason I stepped on the game in the first place.
Yeah, I love it.
Pretty much. I mean, I obviously had downloaded COD before that, but like the only reason I thought about playing competitive ever and like loved ranked play and honestly have become competitive about esports just across the board, Scump, regardless of what it is. So, I don't know, man.
I love it.
With that being said, I guess it's time to say goodbye. So we'll see you next week. Sorry for the emergency episode, or you're welcome. I don't know if you enjoyed it, but
goodbye to our fans, and goodbye to Scump. Real pleasure watching that man.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you for everything, Scump. I think that's about the way to wrap this up. So, peace out.
Toodaloo.